I'm back. Sorry.
All right. Well, I gave Philip the phone number. Hopefully, he can call in. So let's skip over project management because I know he wants to talk about that.
Yeah.
We'll come back to that at the end. Telemetry. There's no real updates. We've been sort of in a holding pattern for CLI, I would assume.
We've added a little bit of telemetry in the VS Code extension, especially around acquisition of bits. Like I'm going to add some around omnisharp acquisition and things like that, but they're VS Code specific. So really
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't done anything specific for Atom yet. More specifically because I haven't had time, but that's another story altogether.
Yeah, the telemetry piece I'm going to add mostly is just going to be tracking. I'm going to try and do some just basic stopwatching of requests, right? So, how many are within 5 milliseconds or, in the 50 millisecond range, those sorts of things, requested the omnisharp server. So it'll be and just kind of counting, the number in various buckets. And we'll see if that, on the VS Code side, and it might turn into some, actual useful information for omnisharp, or it might just be dumb things that we're doing in VS Code. But, hopefully it's some sort of information.
I'll be interested to know, for all the plugins for the OmniShop, which one I use the most.
Yeah, that was something we were talking about. Because right now that's kind of disparate information. Right now it's like go to the, Sublime and find out what packages were used. Go to VS Code, go to Atom. That was the sort of thing we were talking about for OmniSharp.
Yeah, that's why I want to start having some sort of opt-in telemetry that could tell us the editor they're using, that kind of stuff. And maybe they use Atom and code or something like that, who knows.
Yeah.
But that's sort of in the future, I think.
Yeah.
So, big news, CLI, we merged that yesterday to master.
Yeah. Thank God.
Yeah, thank God. I think I have to push a release for master, though, still, but I did today.
Yeah, that's not a big deal, though.
That's not a huge problem.
So we keep making changes to the dev branch, right? When we get some stable, we merge that back to the master. That's the rule we follow.
Yeah, absolutely. And dev doesn't have to be pinned to a .NET version or pinned to any versions. Just when we prepare like a pull request or something to merge it to master, maybe fork a quick release branch, pin everything, and then put it in master.
Okay.
And that way master could be repeatedly built
Yeah.
after the fact, and it's not potentially breaking 2 weeks later because of some dependency disappeared.
Sure. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
But that's awesome. I'm playing around with that. I'm trying to play around with a bunch of Atom stuff today. Hopefully I'll get something that I can push out myself later today as well.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, so I took the release you did for me last week, and I know now that I can fire up releases if I want to. I'll take this one as well. We've got that loaded in VS Code, and it acquires it, it downloads it in the extension at runtime, so it no longer ships it. It no longer has a mono dependency, which is making a lot of people pretty happy because even if you can still grab the mono OmniSharp and use it in VS Code, right? But it was more of a let's now that we got it on .NET CLI, let's make sure it's locked to .NET Core, and on Windows we're still using the desktop version.
Okay, so you're still using the desktop one. Okay, yeah. For Atom today, it defaults to see if you have mono, but if it cannot find mono, it then falls back to the CLR,
Sure.
or to Core CLR. Sorry. So kind of similar, little different, but that's fine. So big thing for Atom and the Node client, the reactive team finally pushed beta 3, which has a bunch of TypeScript changes that I've been working with them to do. So that's landed, and now that's useful. And I've been seeing some pretty big perf gains on the Atom side with that over RxJS4. So.
Yeah, in the coming months, when I get things switched over, or when we actually get this thing, because we're working on getting to an actual 1.0 on VS Code, right? and the C# extension is part of that. So when we get over to that, I'm going to want to take a closer look at, using the Node client possibly and getting rid of some of the duplication. And that's in the VS Code code base right now.
Absolutely. And if you use it, cool. If you don't, oh well.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
So Roslyn we moved to the CLI off of DNX, so that's good. For picking up anything.
So that's,
go ahead.
I have a question about this. So how far from like done is CLI? Because is this going to be changing still? Because I mean, it's been pretty volatile recently, and like, so what's the status with this?
So we are moving towards RC2. RC2 is next stable release. I can't tell exactly the date of like when we will release RC2 or finalize it, but I would say it's close. We are in a mode slowing down all the changes, stabilize it.
Yeah.
After RC2, there may be change features or new changes, but it will be kind of more strictly controlled, ensure not to breaking user dramatically. There still will be changes coming into the CRI, as well as not only CRI and also the NuGet, the .NET, the entire stack. But we are on the path. We are on the route to make it more stable. We are like reducing the number of the changes we're gonna make it dramatically. Now, and every time we make a feature, we will definitely ask like how dramatic it is.
Yeah.
We will reducing the impact on users. But I can't rule out the possibility there are further changes to the CRI. But things I will like keep very close eye on this one. If there are CRI breaking to the OmniSharp, I'll be the first one to get the change migrated, adopted into OmniSharp as soon as possible.
Yeah, I think one thing here is that it's we're getting to the place where we're going to release an RC2 pretty soon, and then if we get major feedback as people start adopting it, because it's been kind of like bleeding edge right now for people adopting .NET CLI, but as people really adopt it, and we get feedback that says hey, and we need to go make a big change, we might consider that. But we're in a place right now where we feel like the design is fairly locked for us, and we know what we want to get into it. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it makes sense. It makes perfect sense. So I mean,
is that you, Philip?
Right now, no. I mean, the problem I think has been that we are like in the middle between DNX and CLI, right? And like you don't want to develop for DNX anymore because it's kind of legacy at this point, and then you don't want to develop for CLI yet because it's too volatile, right?
Yeah.
And VS doesn't support it as well, so that's another thing.
Yep, that's coming. But yeah, agreed.
Yeah, I think the next big chunk coming is I think we already released a lot of support for the portable apps. When that's what I see is the last big piece be very volatile. But once that's done, if today you begin to developing like web application based on MVC stack with .NET CRI beneath it, I would say it's fairly stable. MVC, all the extension, the logging extensions, the configuration, the options, the EF, we are not changing that part dramatically. What we change is the beneath the tool chain, how we restore package, the framework, the target framework names, that kind of slightly small changes. It may break you, but the fix is quite easy. You just change your project JSON using a new framework name. That's pretty much all you need. I don't see we have any big change to like MVC. That's really dramatically impact your application, or we have any change to the configuration, the startup, the application building. All these stuff are quite stable now. So I would say you can move your application to the .NET right now. If it's a break, it will be a break, but the fix should be easy.
Right.
Awesome. I was just happy to get master building again, so that's all I cared about.
Hey, who's signed in as anonymous?
That's probably Philip on the phone.
Is it Philip?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I couldn't join over Skype for some reason.
Yes.
That happened to me like 2 weeks ago,
Yeah.
or not 2 weeks ago, 2 months aut
Do they have a GitHub repo with a file so
Well, bear in mind, I'm doing this on OS 10, which means I am using Link 2011 for Mac. That's my Skype client.
Nice.
Fine.
Yeah, good luck with that. I'm on a Mac too, and it just does not work at all.
All right. So next one, is there anything for like any of the other plugins? I didn't have anything today, so I didn't put anything like Sublime, Emacs, Vim.
Do we have representatives for those plugins?
I don't know if we have them here today. I know we have. I know there's a new guy that was picking up Sublime. I just can't remember the name off the top of my head.
Is the generator updated with CLI?
Is ASP.NET Generator updated, Seed, for CLI?
Yeah, is it?
RC2?
Yeah. Like,
Syed could probably answer that.
Yeah, I don't think it's not updated yet, but the way that normally works is we'll wait for like the VS templates to go ahead and get locked down, and then we post zip files like 3 days early before the release goes out. So we basically don't have the final RC2 content yet, so we haven't actually updated it, but we will before we actually go out.
okay.
Cool.
All right. And I don't know if we have any other representatives. I swear next month this will be much better timed.
Well, it'd be good because we want to make sure those guys are getting updated and that sort of thing.
Yeah, or if they need support or
Yeah.
help, we can try and do Twitter or something to see if we can get people to come in and help do support commits, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So a couple other things on the VS Code side, as long as we're talking about plugins. Guys, I saw what you got on the agenda there. Yeah, we landed. We're in omnisharp, in the omnisharp org, and we're working on getting the CLA stuff up and running, so we can take contributions because I got a couple that I want to take. But I should mention there's a couple of interesting changes that developments that you guys would probably be interested in because they're kind of like Yahoo kinds of things. So the C# extension no longer ships with VS Code as of this last month's release. And so they added a little toast into VS Code to say, hey, if you open a C# file, go get the C# extension out here, and we put it up on the marketplace. And so this last week, it became the most downloaded extension from the Visual Studio Code marketplace. So apparently there are plenty of people that want to use C# with it, and so all of them are using OmniSharp. There's some like 45 or 50,000 downloads around that right now. So that's only going to hopefully get even more and more as it kind of steamrollers as those guys move to a 1.0 release in VS Code. But just so you guys should know, it's actually working really well. So. We're adding in VS Code.
That's because you cheat, and as part of Visual Studio Code, it asked you if you wanted to install the extension right there. That's cheating.
The only reason we did that was because it used to be that inside Visual Studio Code there was an extension, but it was called something else, and they wanted to change the name, and we needed to push out a new version to the marketplace. And to help people migrate from that old extension onto the new one, they just put this in. So it's actually being removed. The toast will get removed. But you could say it's cheating on the one hand, but on the other hand, that many people opened up a C# file to do something with it and were presented with white text and decided to click yes and install. So now when they bring up, press F1 and type install, extension, they'll see C# on the top of the list and then go. So, it makes me feel good. A couple other things, David, that you might be interested in. Anybody else who's working on a plugin might be interested, or an editor plugin. We're adding a couple of things in VS Code specifically for, making it. We're doing a few things to kind of just clean up to make sure that you can execute the command palette and build and those kinds of things within VS Code. A .NET Core app. Moving over to .NET CLI means that if you want to have some, be able to invoke some of those commands, invoke restore, all those kinds of things. We're doing some work in there. It'd be really great if you guys are supporting specifically for .NET Core apps, Project JSON apps. it'd be cool if any of that was a little more consistent across the editors. If anybody wants to pick some up.
I mean, I wouldn't mind making like a separate library or dependency we can drop in to do that if you're open to that.
Yeah, I mean, for us, I mean, it's like in VS Code, it's all this extra goo, right? There's like collateral that needs to be added to the folder in order to make things like build happen. We've got a core CLR debugger now that we're going to be working on, making sure that that's documented for people to use. But so you can hit breakpoints and step and things inside VS Code in a core CLR app. But that's that sort of thing. Also, that needs another piece of project collateral to make it work inside VS Code. So we're working on that. And if other editors like Adam have that sort of thing, it might be interesting to figure out the right ways to add those in. I know Sublime.
Yeah,
does.
certainly.
Yeah.
Maybe just tag me in a couple issues or something on the VS Code repo, and I can look at what you're seeing.
Sure.
Or what you might be looking at for that. So definitely interested for sure.
Right now the debugger stuff is pretty crazy, but yeah, hopefully it's
Well, yeah, debugger stuff.
it's not that bad. It's like an MI engine, but it's a little nutty. So
Well, the problem is Adam doesn't have a debugger interface.
right.
So in order to get debugging, you have to build the debugger interface.
Right.
And then that's where the vast majority of the work is.
And hopefully in the future, we don't have it today. I mean, hopefully in the future we'll have a command line debugger to go along with it. So that'd be nice.
So that'd be shiny. I still have to make a debugger interface regardless of how it all works together.
Get a WinDBG.
Uh,
Did I have anything else? Does anyone have anything else real quick before we go to the two other things?
See, Roslyn.
So let's see, what's the next on the agenda? Is that the OmniSharp Roslyn one?
Yeah, I was going to talk about the project management stuff.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
But I just wonder if there's anything else before we jump to those ones that are just going to take time. All right. So the other one was there. I think it was you, Dustin, wanted to talk about project management. I don't know if Philip had some comments there as well.
It's just me. So Troy pinged me offline about it a few days ago, and then Philip was talking about it today. So it sounded like we should probably talk about it.
Fair enough. Yep. Absolutely. So I mean, I'm fine with whatever. At one point, I did play with Zen code, which could have been useful. I don't know. I didn't want at that moment in time. I didn't want to take the time to say, hey, we should try this. Here's what we need to do. All that kind of stuff that goes behind it. I mean, I'm open to trying to use GitHub issues. Open to try to use something else that's a free alternative like ZenHub. It's kind of nice. It integrates with GitHub's UI. Just injects HTML and whatever. So, I mean, I don't necessarily know if we can say, oh, we're going to do this. We're going to have a proper sprint backlog, and 2 or 3 week sprints, that kind of stuff. But I'm certainly willing to say, here's our high priorities, here's our low priorities. Who's picking this up? Who can work on that?
Having a stack rank backlog would get us a long way. We don't need to be having daily scrums, but just having a list that that people can pull off and say, I'm going and working on this, and what's important to work on next would be good.
Yeah, I'm certainly down for that. I can dig into a couple tools. I know you mentioned a couple other than ZenHub that you guys have looked at for Roslyn. It might not work for Roslyn, but we don't have the same number of people.
We ran into big scale problems just because we have a vast number of issues. So it looks like we might hit 10,000 today. So it's of issues and PRs and everything. So it's just those systems, and GitHub's APIs aren't designed to deal with that, at least at the level that you want to make a nice UI around it. So yeah, I think for OmniSharp, you guys, whatever makes sense.
Does anyone have any preferences around that? Anything that they used internally or with other projects?
I'm not sure about the tools, but I think we should properly put every single issue in a life cycle, so we clearly know where they are. When issues are fired, we at least we have a clearly have a group of like a triage team to decide whether one issue is worth to be dealt with or not. If not, we should close the issue like in a timely fashion. Not we don't have like the issues being accumulating to big number. Eventually we lost track where we are. Same to the pull requests. We have like a dozen pull requests a few weeks ago. Almost 8 of them are months back, need tons of rebates, and the owner doesn't respond to whether it's still valid or not. My point is, both issue and the pull request should be like put into a timely fashion, like managed. If it's not value, it doesn't have value, we just drop it quickly. If it's really important issue, I guess people will open it again. If it reopened and be re-emphasized, we can take a look again. But don't accumulate these things there, so that we can have entire project move on. And also, I suggest like we have a checkpoint. We have like a sprint or checkpoint or milestone or something. We can align with all the dependency we have, but we can have a point, say we will have another Alpha 3 release, Alpha 4 release. Now it's more like we say let's get a build, we get a build. If we have a schedule, it'd be easier for us to deliver the message, say we will have a build coming, let's try on let everybody hop on a new build and get experience file issues. So there's a cycle, we can get things done.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm totally behind all of that. So maybe I'll dig into a couple of the options out there. I think you had them on Slack, Dustin, so I'll go look at those. Another point, and I'll emphasize this in the issue when we're done, is Troy created a Slack group, and so far it seems to be more useful than Jabber because it's a little more in your face than Jabber is today. I still plan to hang out there because that's sort of like the official spot, but it's certainly useful for communication.
Well, I check in every morning. It doesn't seem like very much is happening on Jabber, but a lot of stuff is happening on Slack.
Yeah,
so.
Absolutely. My biggest thing was it's invite only, but then I figured out how to do this little Google form, and everyone can invite themselves. So it kind of eliminated that thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I actually linked to that auto invite form from the contributor guidelines, so it's there as well.
yeah,
So somebody can actually join from that level as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw that. And absolutely. I mean, everyone should be wanting to join. I mean, I don't care who's there. I mean, it's open source. If there's something you want to talk about, ask us. You know, I didn't want there to be a blocker in that, I have to get an invite. You know, I'm not too worried about, I have to make an account. It's more the invite portion was really kind of a pain. But without that seems to be much easier.
Okay.
Slack works on mobile too.
Yeah.
Yes, that's true.
My phone like buzz all the time. I sometimes have to snooze it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, working on mobile is nice, but I mean that's just a convenience thing. My thing was I just want to make sure that it was approachable for anyone, in the future, because it's hard enough to keep contributors as it is. And as long as it's approachable, I'm fine with it. Does anyone else have any opinions, either pro or negative, against Slack? I mean, I know Gitter's useful.
Only one is David Fowler. Well, Java is his baby, so basically.
Yeah, I mean, he's kind of biased, right? And whenever he says something on Jabber, he's like, hey, I know that I'm going to answer him even a minute later, and he's going to disappear, so it doesn't matter.
Well, look at it this way. I mean, if there's a way I can stick it to Fowler by not using Jabber, then I'm happy.
I had a lengthy argument with Fowler when I was trying to set my locale flag in Jabber, and I had to figure out how to do that with some construct that reminded me of Irk. Like, why would you do that in a modern? I have a profile button. I can change my picture, but I can't change my locale flag.
Nice. That's funny.
All right. I don't know. Is there anything else for today so far?
No, Not for today. I have a wiki page. I wrote a wiki page for the full status of the issue. It's a proposal. We can all hop on and edit that. Oh, one thing. Just a quick thing. We have the CI lock on both the master and dev branch. Make it difficult is whenever you want to modify a README file or contribute file or any MD file, you need to trigger the entire CI again. I'm not sure. Is it way for GitHub say let's ignore this type of file for CI check?
No, it should be the opposite. The opposite way, right? It's the CI that should actually tell that
Right.
okay, this file has changed, and do not trigger a build then. So that's
Right. They're just hooking into GitHub
Yeah, I mean, we could maybe
Travis
plug
have
in as part of the build script to AppFair and Travis to see if there's any.
well, I wonder if Travis's hook has something there that they can.
Yeah. And
Not
another
sure.
another approach is what made the document all in the wiki. So we all add into the wiki page that kind of bypass the CI check. But we need to get on the same page. We want to use a wiki or we want to use a README.
To make the README
No,
point
but
to
you-
the wiki and be done with it.
On the one hand, the wiki's easier, just because we avoid CI. On the other hand, for documentation and stuff, you lose the history by using the wiki because it's not part of the repo anymore, and you lose the moment in time history as well of where it was at that
Well-
moment. If you're looking at something 6 months ago.
No. So the wiki is actually its own repo. Like when you have a GitHub repo, you actually have two repos. One is your main repo, one is your wiki repo. And so if you just say, if you take the URL of your main repo and you say .wiki at the end and then .git, then you can get to the wiki repo, and it's just a collection. It's a collection of MD files actually. So you still have history in that sense. You can actually clone your wiki if you want.
But it's not.
And you can do everything.
Yeah. Only downside is that the history is not in the same line as this code. You don't like
Yeah.
have history. They are separated.
And you kind of like you want to have the nice experience that when somebody comes to the GitHub project and he sees the README and he sees everything, like just I think that's the one thing you don't want to lose, I guess.
That said, I mean, we can always bypass Travis and check-ins for that stuff if you're an owner on the repo, so we can make more people owners to be able to basically jump the shark and skip it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not something you want to do, but we can. I put the locks in there just because I was really bad at just going merge and merging in a break, so I'm trying to stop myself from doing it, which stops everyone from doing it.
Here's the honest question. How often does that really happen where you change the README but don't change any code?
Yeah, I don't think it's that big of a deal.
It's not a big deal, yeah, true. But it happened recently. Like we begin to document more things. At one point, I was trying to put the information of the labels in the README. Then I realized I have to trigger CI, so I moved back to this wiki page. Like that. That's when I'm wondering. I okay with both ways.
Peter raises a good point. If you prefix the commit with CI skip,
Yeah,
and I believe AppFair supports the same thing. I'd forgotten about that.
yeah, that seems reasonable.
Yep. We need to add both Travis and AppFair.
Yeah, that's a workaround. We don't have to make a giant policy decision for the whole thing just for README files.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
I believe AppFair does the same thing. So
Okay. We do this. We skip on the CI. We try to get a document if we need any documents in the code base. We can have a docs folder and we just skip the entire folder.
Sure.
Cool. That's for me. We still have a cake script. We need to try to push that in. The PR is out.
yes, yeah, we need to. Did he get it fixed up? I haven't looked at it. I haven't looked at it in a day or two. So
The PR is a little bit out of date, and we can use that one.
and it was waiting on a fix from the CLI side, right, for Linux.
I think that one we checked and fixed. The Ubuntu is fixed. And I merged the change yesterday morning, so all the .NET right now we're using are pinned to the 1897 build.
Yeah, I saw that.
And it's stable, so that build so far is good for all the platforms.
Okay. If he's not able to get back to it today, I can always grab his branch and rebase it and push it to a different branch to get it in there sooner. I think he might just be away today. I don't even know what time zone he's in, and I can't remember his name for the life of me. Helter or something on GitHub.
Once I get in, we can get rid of my published project, small mini project. We can get rid of that. And
Yeah,
we can,
absolutely.
Oh, I have some idea additional targets for us to use, like a quick install locally, quick update to your user settings for VS Code. All these small targets it's very useful if we have a developer want to get in to help to try out locally. So I'm waiting on the cake getting, so I don't need to duplicate work.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, that's everything from me.
Does anyone else have anything?
So I have one more suggestion as well.
Sure.
I think it would be good to go through the old issues. Some of the issues are really, really old, and just to clean up the issues list, because it's become a mess, and some of them have not been answered at all for a long time, and I think that's not a good thing, and that's not how a good open source project should be, right? So just let's put some effort towards maybe cleaning up the issues, maybe labeling the issues that exist and that will remain open and stuff like this.
Yeah.
There's an issue on here just asking for support for Iron Python. I don't know if,
one fix.
is it a one? But there's a lot of stuff here. I think that's part of the problem here might be that nobody has felt enough ownership to go do this, right? You're like, well, I don't want to mess with these because, somebody else might care about this, and so we just kind of leave them sit, and that's not really...
We can form a triage committee. We list names in this committee, they should be the one to go clean up, tag all these issues, and we need to we can have a mini schedule meeting or grouping on the Slack every week. Say go through the new issues.
There probably won't be very many. Right now we have collectively had 201 issues all through the lifetime of the omnisharp browser project. So it won't be that bad. Just getting through the ones we've got open and deciding what's good and what needs to move and what needs to stay. So.
Yeah, I can maybe sit down tonight and put some time into it to say, well, we won't fix this, we can do this. Maybe open a Slack channel for that, for any questions.
I just open and go triage.
Yeah. I just noticed there's something that I've been noticing on the VS Code omnisharp repo, the omnisharp VS Code repo. I was just looking at the issues here in the Roslyn repo. There's a whole bunch of tags that we didn't add. And those are coming from the VS Code guys, from Joe, actually, from Johannes. Whenever they have this tool for porting issues, and because he's an owner, it ports his labels over. So you'll find all sorts of labels that you didn't add that came from VS Code, like the C# label.
Yeah, well.
Yeah.
I might have to change his permissions then.
I did change his permissions of the omnisharp VS Code one. I was going to email and say, hey, stop adding your labels to my repo.
Let's clean up some label first.
Yeah. Anyways, I thought you might.
Let me open the issue about clean up the issue.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I can sit down and should be able to have some time today to go through those issues. So, between cooking dinner and whatnot. So.
Yeah, and we just need to spend some time and beat our way through the ones that are there and get to a set that feels like Philip was saying earlier today, get to a set that just seems like we know, a set that we know are supposed to be there, that we want to work on, and not just random stuff that nobody wants to look. Everybody's scared to touch.
I like Iron Python support. I just don't know how easy it would be. So, probably not.
Why not? feel free to submit a PR. You know.
Yeah, once we stabilized plugins, and I had plugins pretty close, and then CLI came along. I was like, oh, son of a bitch.
Yeah.
That's going to be easier now, so whatever.
Yeah, it should be easier. Really, actually, that's true. It should be much easier. I mean, I'll be happy now that we're on CLI that Rosalind's no longer pinned, and I can actually go take some of the APIs that Matt Warren's working on and pull them in.
Well, that's true because we're getting compiled outside of it.
Exactly.
So we can pick any Rosalind version we want. That's useful.
Exactly. That's actually what's been blocking us for quite a while. Is just
now that I think about it.
Yeah. Makes it much easier.
So we can get go to implementation now.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could bring in any Rosalind version we wanted to. Technically, we're not pinned to whatever's released. We could pull in betas, alphas, whatever the heck we want.
Yeah, not a bad idea. I mean, well, it makes sense, you know. I mean, if we have an API that we're, you know, trying out, and you know, and it's going to take a larger code change. Like when Matt's still working on completion right now, and when that comes in, I mean, it's going to delete a whole bunch of code out of omnisharp Roslyn, right? That's there to, you know, to I guess work around the fact that you don't have an API for it, and so we'll be able to take that version early, right, and ship it in omnisharp before it even winds up in Visual Studio. omnisharp will be using it.
And that would be awesome.
That would be awesome. I agree.
We could be like, here's another reason we can beat Visual Studio.
To be fair, it'll be in Visual Studio Code.
Shush. Logic, stop it.
Yeah. All right. Well, I don't personally have anything else.
I don't think I have anything else. CI skip, pretty sure Fair does that, so we can deal with the whole README thing fairly easily. Yeah, that's all I have. I saw someone was typing, but then they stopped. So has anyone else got a question before we close it up?
I do want to talk about scaffolding.
Oh, sure.
So I mentioned on GitHub yesterday in a comment somewhere that site had picked up that I still have an interest in actually building that scaffolding stuff out and having it be a driver for both VS Code at CLI as well as Visual Studio 2015 in the future. We kind of were in a holding pattern because of the CLI issues that everyone has been experiencing. So I'm just wondering if there's still an interest in doing that and what the scope of scaffolding should be. Should we try to replicate file new project or rely on the ASP.NET generator for that? Or should we just focus on scaffolding EF models, etc., which was the original intent?
Yeah, I've got some thoughts, but I guess let's wait to see if anybody else has.
I'm actually waiting on you, Syed, because I know this is a space you're fairly passionate in.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Here's kind of my thought process on this. So there's kind of two types of scaffolding. One is, I'm going to create items from a static repository of files, and that's like file new project and file add new item. And then there's the project-based scaffolding, which is going to rely on EF, and it has to load .NET. And we could have a solution that actually serves the purposes of both, or they could be two different things that have two different implementations. But I guess I can address each topic separately, and then we can, I guess, try to figure out how they kind of come together. But so from a scaffolding perspective, Visual Studio scaffolding will work for RC2. And, behind the scenes, Visual Studio is going to be calling into some NuGet packages just like it was in RC1. So if we want, what we can do is we can come together with a command line experience for that project-based scaffolding that kind of does the same thing that Visual Studio add scaffolded item would do. So that's kind of the scaffolding topic by itself. And then when it comes to new project and new items, it's kind of interesting what's happening there. If you take a look, we've got the Visual Studio templates, that are in GitHub ASP.NET templates, and then we have the Yeoman generators that are in OmniSharp. And you couldn't even imagine how much engineering effort we're putting into these Visual Studio templates. It's a lot of wasted effort, in my opinion, just because our system there is not very good. And so what happens is the process there is, we'll kind of author the templates with the team at Microsoft, and then a couple days before, we'll just take the content and then pass it over to the Yo generators, and then we update the content there. The obvious problem with that approach is, as we're kind of in development, there's no Yo generators available, so we have to kind of wait till we get to the release. So that's been kind of annoying, and some people have kind of reached out to me asking me about this particular question. And then, on top of that, then we have .NET New. So, in an ideal world, what I would like to try to do is have a single cross-platform command line utility that's kind of laser focused on templates. And then the idea is that we can author our templates inside that. We can author our templates with that command line utility, and then we can take that command line tool and then put that into Visual Studio, and we'll create custom wizards, and then those custom wizards will invoke the tool. And then we can do the same thing in Yeoman. We just we'll create the Yeoman interface as we normally have, and then when it comes time to actually generate the content, we just call that tool. So I think there's kind of two ways that we can get to that point. So if .NET New is going to satisfy our needs, then I think we can kind of focus around that and then implement the templates inside .NET New and then just kind of put them inside Visual Studio and Yeoman. If .NET New is not going to meet our needs, then maybe there's another open source project that we can work on together that would meet the needs, and then we can just basically author the templates once and then run some sort of build script that would output the Visual Studio templates, and then, like the Yeoman generator, I guess. So that's kind of my thought. So I put together a prototype that's called .NET Waffle, and I sent out the link earlier in the chat, but you can always reach out to me on Twitter to get that link. But I think that's kind of like a good place to start on at least the project templates and the item templates, and just want to get everybody's thoughts on it. And the other thing I want to do, I want to make it dead simple to create these templates. Today when you create templates, there's kind of a problem because you have your source projects, and then you modify those projects, adding your tokens like parentheses, the $sign namespace, $sign. So you end up kind of maintaining two separate copies. With this .NET Waffle thing that I've came up with, the whole idea is that you should not have to modify your project at all. You just declare replacements. So I want to make creating templates very easy, and I want to do templates everywhere.
Yeah, I'm in complete agreement with you. I used to actually create my own templates for iRepository patterns based on the EF templates inside of Visual Studio. This is years ago, and it was a bloody nightmare, which is kind of where I'm going with the idea of having a CLI tool that kind of does it all, whether those templates are driven from the ASP.NET templates team or repo, or they're driven by creation somewhere else that then get reused everywhere else. But I think we're on the same page in terms of what I think the best case scenario would be, which is a CLI tool that everything just relies on. I'll take a look at .NET Waffle. It sounds very interesting. I think that problem is actually a more important problem to solve than scaffolding at the CLI on OS X or Linux.
Sure.
Because right now, everything is manual. If you're not running on Windows inside of Visual Studio, you have to know exactly what to do to create anything. And it's painful. I mean, for me, it's easy. For everyone else, I can imagine it's crappy, especially when you talk about, building things that are cross-plat that target multiple TFMs.
Yeah, right.
Anyway.
Okay, so let's kind of party on that thing and watch the video. Tell me what you think, and I think let's just run with it. We have to see where this .NET New is going to land. I've kind of shared my ideas with Damien and a whole bunch of other folks. But I don't think we should wait for them. I think we should just go ahead with it and then see where can we go with this.
I agree. From what I understand from Damien Edwards, .NET New is supposed to be bare bones, and he doesn't want it to do anything more than that. At least that's the argument I've heard.
Yeah, that's what they're saying for this initial release. That's right. Yep.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, my only thing is just the time taken, to move from something like Yeoman for static templating to a .NET solution. You have to rewrite all the stuff that Yeoman did. So, I'm not saying it's the wrong thing to do. I think it's a good thing, but there just may be a lot of work in there to get all the plumbing set up.
That's not necessarily true, actually. If you take a look at Yeoman, the real value add in Yeoman is actually the command line interface. Where it kind of prompts you for the project name and all that sort of stuff. And they're very robust in that. But with actually generating the template content, they just kind of rely on generic JavaScript solutions that are out there. For example, Lodash or Underscore. So they don't have, as far as I know, they don't have any real solution that's laser focused on templates. And I've already done that part actually, and the technology is kind of technology that I've taken from Sidewaffle. So most of it's been kind of used for a few years. So I'm feeling pretty good about that. And then over time we can kind of improve the command line interface, I think.
Okay, and I was just stating that that's the only thing that is the difference, right? Yeoman's already there; it works. You just build on top of it.
Yeah,
Whereas
that's right.
this, you have to build some sort of scaffolding there.
Yep.
Now that said, the CLI tool they use is actually RxJS, so it could probably port over to rx.net fairly simply.
That's right.
Yeah, and see, I love Yo. I use it every day. The problem with Yo is, in my worldview, is when you go to do something like scaffolding an EF model, which is impossible through Yo, you have two different tools that you need to use to create a new item, right? And now we're making everything even that much more complex for developers that, let's be honest, aren't used to things like Yo and NPM and Node and JSPM, right? These are all new world tools that people are going to have to learn for the first time if you're coming from .NET 4.5.1, et cetera.
Right.
So just trying to make it simple. And it would be great if it was a .NET CLI tool, so just .NET space template space something, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
And then you get the value add of you can reflect into the user's code and stuff like that, or at least parse it with Roslyn to pull out properties and stuff like that to do generation and whatnot.
Exactly, which you absolutely have to do things like EF model scaffolding. So I'd rather just have it all be in one place, right?
Makes sense to me.
And the other thing that no one wants to talk about is, the black hole developers, they don't have Node installed on their machine. What's Node? I don't know what that is.
Sure.
And it's just one other dependency.
Exactly, and Yo's dependency graph is pretty dramatic, right? When you think about it.
Yes.
The second you pull a node, it gets dramatic.
Yep. Yeah, I think we're kind of all on the same page with this one, for sure.
Yeah, I'm definitely down. So we can do stuff on Slack there if you want, or just open up issues on the scaffolding template, and we can get going. And Saeed, you have a repo of your stuff too, don't you?
Yeah, I'll work with David and Devin offline, and we'll find out where is going to be like the home of this thing, and then I guess hopefully add it to the notes or something in the next couple days.
Nice.
Sure, that's awesome.
Okay.
All right, we got 3 minutes left. Is there anything else? Peter, I know you're not able to talk. Do you have anything else?
No? No.
No. I just wanted to make sure everyone's included. Philip, you got anything?
Not me.
All right. I don't have anything else, so if that's it, let's have everyone go. I'll add a couple things to the notes on the agenda. If you have anything else to add there, please go ahead. And there we go.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming on at short notice, guys.
Thank you.